live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Can you, or is there anyone who's listening, watching, who can explain to me why not one single Ukrainian refugee has arrived in Canada yet? Why are we not welcoming daily flights jammed with fleeing Ukrainian mothers and their children? Is there anyone who can explain that to me? Why is it going to be, at least they tell us, another 2 weeks before we can even begin to welcome Ukrainian refugees? Probably longer than that. Why are we leaving almost all of the burden up to Poland? I mean, I shake my head when I hear our immigration minister and others say, well, this visa system we've imposed now, we feel this is the fastest way that we can get refugees here. Really? Wait a minute. Over 1 million refugees have crossed the border unimpeded to Poland. Poles don't ask for a visa. They don't even ask for identification. Poles say, you're a refugee. You're fleeing a brutal war. Come to us. We'll look after you. And they are. But we can't bring a single one. What kind of a country are we running here? I don't get it. Can we just be honest here for a freaking change? Almost every goddamn day, dozens or even sometimes more undocumented so-called refugees leave the United States at Roxham Road and other Western illegal entry points. No questions asked. They don't require a visa. They don't require a passport. They don't even require a birth certificate. Oh, you claim you're a refugee. Well, wait a minute. Hold it, just a minute. So we allow hundreds, thousands of people from the safe haven of the United States to cross into our borders, at which point we give them virtually all the benefits a Canadian citizen gets. No problems. Pas de problème, see? But if you are a Ukrainian mother with child fleeing from a brutal, illegal war, well, we've got to put some hurdles in your path. What the hell kind of a country are we running here? Poland can allow over 1 million refugees, mostly women and children, no questions, but we've got to impose hurdles, a delay. Just remind you that the war now in Ukraine is entering its 3rd week. If we have another 2-week delay, that'll be over a month before a single Ukrainian refugee will be allowed into this country. By that time, in all probability, Poland will have allowed more than 2 million. What's wrong with us here? And you know what? The immigration minister and Trudeau and others say, well, the 2 week, that's about the fastest we can do it. Bullshit. You know what should be happening? I tell you, Trudeau is over in Europe right now. He's talking. He's talking with this leader. He got a photo op with the Queen. Oh, good for you. Great. He's talking with this leader. Talking, while the bullets and the bombs fly. I'll tell you where Trudeau should be right now, along with his immigration minister. They should be in Poland making arrangements for dozens, if not hundreds, of rescue Canadian planes. Canadian planes should be lined up at Polish airports right now with hundreds of Ukrainian refugees, women and children, boarding those planes and flying here. Well, some of you say, we're going to make sure that they'd be well looked after. Folks, do you know that there are over 1 million people now living in Manitoba alone with Ukrainian blood in them? You don't think that there would be thousands, and I mean thousands of people of Ukrainian descent and otherwise who would rush to help? Wouldn't you? My wife and I, we're just ordinary. We don't have a big house. small house. But we talked about it this morning. You know what? If some refugees came here from the Ukraine, mothers and child, and needed a place to stay, we'd put them up. God damn it! I mean, that's just a human thing to do. But no, not in Canada. Oh no, we've got to impose all of these barriers, these hurdles. I, wait, I repeat, we allow undocumented people from the United States of America, uh, safe haven, as far as I know. The United States has not been invaded. There's no civil war. But you can show up at the Roxham Road crossing, illegal crossing, with no documentation, suitcase in hand or never, and cross over the border. The Mounties will even help you, and you're afforded all the benefits virtually other than the right to vote of a Canadian citizen. But if you are a fleeing mother with children, fleeing your husband you've left behind to try and defend your country, you're the victim of an illegal, brutal, bloody war, and we've got to put hurdles in your path. I don't know. You know, folks, sure as hell isn't the country that I grew up in. I can remember, in fact, my wife, Debbie, was involved in this. We had this situation in Ottawa. We brought in over 3,000 of the so-called Vietnamese boat people. No questions asked. We just brought them. This was the humane thing to do. And you know what happened? People in Ottawa, just ordinary citizens, put them up, looked after them. No government. Well, there may have been some government expense getting them over. I'm not sure. But essentially, volunteers came forward. They formed committees. My wife was on one of them. Formed committees, looked after these people. You don't think we would do the same thing with Ukrainian refugees now? You're bloody right we do it. But the government won't let us. I repeat, we're now entering the third week. Over 1.5 million refugees so far, more than 1 million of them in Poland alone, and not one single. Oh, I could also point to the United States. Talk. I mean, load up airplanes and bring them here. Sort out the paperwork after. That's what they're doing in Poland. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And let me say this. I don't understand whether now the opposition parties have been pressing, but not that hard. To me, this is a major issue. We should have, by this time, after more than 2 weeks of fighting, we should have more than 1,000, at least 1,000 Ukrainian refugees. They should be coming into our country by the thousands. And you know what? We would look after them. We wouldn't ask the government to look after them. Ordinary citizens would come forward. In Poland, they are, including many people who are not of Ukrainian descent. They're coming in, driving in, busing in, coming in by train from all over Poland to come and meet people and take them home with them. You don't think we do the same thing here? Of course we would, if we had the chance. But instead of this, we've got our prime minister and our cabinet ministers over there talking. While the bombs fly, the bullets fly. You know, I'm not even sure if we've done what we could or should when it comes to military assistance. We have been very stingy. Let's remember that at first, we didn't even send over weapons. We sent over gas masks, some body armor. Finally, we sent some weapons. I don't know. Maybe we're not well enough equipped here. That's another whole issue. But I mean, I don't understand it. These are innocent victims of a brutal, bloody war. Other countries, Poland in particular, have come to the rescue while we sit on the sidelines. We talk while the bullets and the bombs fly. Let me ask you this. As a Canadian citizen, is that good enough for you? Is that good? Because I'm going to ask you to do something. Very seldom do it. I used to do it a lot on the Green Line and CFRA. Ask my listeners to actually do something. This time, I'm going to ask you, if you would please, contact your MP. Say, listen, this is not good enough. There should not be another 2-week delay or 3-week delay. Bring those people over here now. We will look after them. We will make sure that they have food and a safe haven. Most of them will want to go back when this is over finally anyway. But even if they don't, is it not our duty as human beings? We're a rich country. We've got everything that these people need. We have safety. We have food. We have shelter. We have everything that they need. And we're leaving them in Poland. I don't know. Is it good enough for you? That's what I'm asking, folks. Is that your understanding of Canada? And I'm sure that some of you will say, "Oh well, we've got to be careful. Bring over." Yeah, but we're talking almost exclusively women and children. Do you really think there's a serious danger with that? We don't have a problem. These aren't women and children crossing at Roxham Road. But no great fuss about that. You've allowed that. You're a Canadian citizen. You've elected governments which have allowed that, promoted that, supported that. So why can a group of men cross the border coming from New York? I don't know. They've done something there. They want to leave, so they cross the border. No problem. But a Ukrainian mother and a child is not welcome. Beats the hell out of me. John, any response at all here?
Yes, sir. We are ready for your phone calls at 613-413-2217. You can text that number as well. The email address is lowell@blasttheradio.com. And if you're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you would ordinarily post a comment, you can post it there. I will cut and paste as many as I can to read on the air to Lowell and get them up on the screen. We've been with Lori on Facebook. She says, it's all talk, no action. Donald says, Justin is doing a photo shoot at 10 Downing Street right now. Chrissy says, God forbid if roles were reversed and we needed help to get out of our country, shame on our immigration system. JP says it's Afghanistan all over again.
Let me just jump in there.
Of course.
Very good point. We have turned our backs. We have abandoned the friends that we promised we would help in Afghanistan. Trudeau and his bobbleheads claim that we're going to allow, what was it, 20,000 or 40,000? And now here we are, about 6 months later, and apparently only about 7,000 have been admitted into the country. We have turned our backs on our friends in Afghanistan, people we promised we would help, and now we are, eventually we will probably bring some refugees. My point is that these people need help right now. And please respond to my question here. Do you agree with me, or do you have a problem with bringing these people in and work the paperwork after? If Poland can allow over 1 million of them, why can't we bring in plane loads of them? I don't understand. Any comments on that? Please go ahead, John.
We just went through COVID and, keeping track of where everybody is, isolating and what hotel, et cetera, as they come back into the country. It's not like we don't have the ability to do this.
Yep.
Greg says, I have 2 spare bedrooms. No problem. Leanne says, the plane going with supplies should bring back some people and send more. Absolutely. Why are we bringing back empty planes? Good point. Kim says, can Russian people defect here? I bet lots want to. Would we help them? Carrie says, so true. Not the Canada.
No, excuse me. Okay. I don't know if it's a trite question or not. Russia is not being attacked. Ukraine is being attacked. It's Ukraine where women and children are fleeing, and in most cases their husbands are remaining behind to fight and probably die. It's Ukraine that's under attack, okay? Please, let's deal with the issue here. Go ahead, please, John.
Direct answer to your question from Chris. He says yes. Another direct answer to your question from JP says absolutely yes. Again, we remind you, the phone number here, 613-413-2217. Carrie says, so true. This is not the Canada I came to 49 years ago. Anne is on Facebook. She says, remember Trudeau tripping over himself to bring over all the Syrian so-called refugees with fancy designer luggage who dumped their ID before crossing the border, and all of those just walking into Canada with no check whatsoever, crossing on Roxdam Road? Total crap as usual, total double standard. Trudeau probably sees it as an unlikely Liberal voting group, which is despicable. What a bullshit prime minister we have. I know everyone on here knows it, so I'm preaching to the choir. Corleen says, Justin spoke more about climate change this morning than anything else during the press conference in England. Mike says, go ahead.
I didn't hear that. I hope that's not right. Go ahead.
I hope it's not too. I saw photos. I didn't see him speaking or hear him speaking. Mike says, good for you again, Lowell. I couldn't agree with you more. All right, an email from Lisa. Again, the address is lowell@blasttheradio.com. She says, Lowell, I hate to say this, the reason it's taking so long is racism. Had they been of color, they would have been granted entry without question. Because they aren't, they don't want to piss off the minority. And a few people have echoed that, sadly. Gregory says, figure this out now. Tom says, you're damn right we'd look after them. Kim says, I believe there are many orphans, sadly, in Ukraine. I know many good Canadians who would care for them. Susan says, I would take a family in. Gregory says, how can I help? What associations, etc., can I help?
Well, I mean, thank you. For the way to help is put some pressure on the opposition parties. I'm a conservative. Everybody knows that. Many of you probably tend to be conservative. As far as I'm concerned, to me, this is the right now the number one issue here. We need to get those refugees over here right now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Today, now. That's the Canadian way. The opposition should be pounding the government on this, insisting, and instead of that, I see the media the same thing. Oh well, they say that we've decided that this visa system is the fastest way to get them over here. Excuse me. You're talking about another 2 weeks, probably to be 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I repeat the question. Two questions. If we can allow undocumented people, which we do, to cross our border at Roxham Road and other Western locations, and we've been doing so for 4 years now, why are we insisting that refugees from the Ukraine have got to have a visa? And number two question. If Poland can allow more than 1 million of these people, no questions asked. Poland says you're in a desperate situation. You've been walking in many cases for hours with children, you can imagine. It's cold, it's miserable, you haven't had anything to eat or drink. Come here, we'll look after you. If Poland can do it, why can't my country? John, go ahead, please.
Chris says, my door is open for any family, even two. Greg says, we have a child running our country with less than half a brain. Kim says, bring them here now. The more, the merrier. Mike says, good idea, Lowell. I will contact my MP, Pierre Poilievre, as soon as I get home after work.
Yeah, Pierre in his office often listen. Pierre, this is an issue that will strike to the heart of Canadians. We are a good people here. We have proven this in the past. We want to help. We can help. We can't send NATO, apparently. We can't send troops. Maybe correct on that. But we can bring refugees now. That's what we can do. Sometimes people make me mad. They say, well, what can we help? Yeah, there is a way we can help. Bring these desperate mothers and their children here, okay? If you want to help, then if you really want to help, it's no good just talking to your neighbor. Talk to your MP, put some heat on them, say, we want refugees here. We will look after them. Go ahead, John.
All right, we're 20 minutes after the hour. Let's get a word in here for Shields.
For Shields. Shields, when you're talking about good people, of course, and when you're dealing with people, whether it's politicians or businesses, you want to make sure you're dealing with good people. Shields are good people. They've been the same family since 1947 in the Ottawa Valley, serving the Ottawa Valley, and they continue to do so now. And by the way, the question sometimes I get quite well, can they deliver to Cornwall, Brockville, Presa? Yes, they do. They've expanded delivery service there, and of course, right into Ottawa. Prices are very, very competitive. The website we've talked many times. Prices, as I say, if check them out. You'll see. You compare the prices with big box stores, and one of the nice things about Shields, you're dealing with not only a Canadian company, you're dealing with a local family-owned Canadian company. To me, that means something. I think to some of you it does as well. Shields.ca. John, what else have we got?
Here's a text, 613-413-2217. How big was Trudeau's entourage on this trip, and is his mother along so she can go shopping? And then they follow up with, bring as many people over here as we can. Good. Ken on Facebook says, Putin is fighting this war with weapons. The West will fight it with bureaucracy and paperwork. Donald says, get planes in there now and get them here. Grab and do the paperwork later.
Leanne made a very good point. I think this is my daughter so she's got a little bit of the green brain, I guess. We're sending. Well, I mean, and I hadn't thought of this already. Yeah, we're sending planes over there. We're sending equipment, and a plane obviously took Trudeau over and probably took a few other MPs. Why didn't we bring the planes back loaded with refugees?
Because that would require logic, Lowell.
It would also require a little bit of humanity. Talk, 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 but send back empty planes while a million people looking for a place to grab a hot dog. Go ahead, John. Excuse me. Go ahead, John.
No worries. Eileen says, I will get in touch with my MP. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
If anybody needs help finding your MP, I will happily help you with that. You can contact me through blasttheradio.com. Coraline says, Sean Fraser is the immigration minister. Send him an email as well. All right, an email from Rob.
Excuse me. This was Sean Fraser. Nice looking guy. Seems like a nice guy. And he's on there and being interviewed as on CBC. Well, and it was asked, well, why are we looking at a delay of 2 weeks? Well, we had a look at this and we decided that this was the fastest way. I mean, that is such bullshit. I don't know how many times I have to repeat it. They're not asking for a 2-week delay in Poland. They're not asking for a 2-hour delay in Poland. Why is our border more sacrosanct than that of Poland? Jumping Jesus. Go ahead, John, please.
Sonia says, I will contact my MP, Chandra Aria. An email from Rob in Carlton Place. Again, the address here is lowell@blasttheradio.com. If we want the public service to circumvent rules or procedures, we need leadership from the government. When you look around the cabinet table, the leadership just isn't there. That's what happens when we vote for canoe paddling athletes, drama teachers, and tower climbing activists. We get a government that can only pretend to govern.
Oh, by the way, this is just a slight aside, but we all know that about 1/3 of Canada is supplied with foreign oil, including, by the way, while we're not buying any Russian crude, we do buy Russian refined oil, okay, which Trudeau never happens to mention. But get this, he's over in Europe, and he made the statement that Canada is self-sufficient with oil and gas. I mean, that is just a barefaced freaking lie. No other way to describe it. Roughly 1/3 of Canada relies entirely on foreign oil. And our prime minister claims that we are totally energy self-sufficient. Just to give you an example of the kind of bullshit that goes on with this guy. Go ahead, please, John.
We are so self-sufficient for gas and energy in our country. People in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia have to rely on electric heat because they can't use gas, because they can't get gas. I know that for a fact. Just saying. Yep. Anne says, what I find particularly disgraceful is that this country is not exactly a breeding ground for terrorists, so not sure why they would not be a little lenient with the visas and passports. Seriously, I've not heard of anyone of Ukrainian descent running down people in a van or beheading people. Coraline says, what paperwork did they ask for when they loaded the planes in Afghanistan? Julie says, I have a small house, but I have sleeping bags and air mattresses, and I would take in a family if I could. Terry says, you'd think that Chrystia Freeland, who would do this, especially with her Ukrainian heritage. Let me see, another comment from Anne. She says, wouldn't it be funny, a test of Lowell's influence for good on the Liberal government if they made an announcement tomorrow that they are taking in a number of Ukrainian refugees? I'm half expecting it.
Well, they are going to take, they say, the announcement is that we'll take in an unlimited number. But there's going to be this delay. But I'm saying if we're looking at another 2 weeks, we're looking at probably a month that these people have been subjected to bombing, etc., for over a month before we take them in. I am saying, forget the rules and regulations, open our borders right now, as has Poland and Moldova and Latvia and Germany. By the way, Germany is allowing people to come in, refugees, if they can make their way there. Some of them apparently are. They're not asking for it. They're saying, look, you're a refugee, mother and child, you're welcome here. But Canada says, oh no, there's going to be this, we got to have this, and we got to have that as a 2-week delay, et cetera, et cetera. But it's already almost 3 weeks into the attack. Go ahead, John, please.
Let me see. Learn to Review Terry is watching on Twitch. I will contact Yazir Nakvi. Hopefully he'll say, yes, sir, I'll do it. Trudeau lies, I'm shocked, says Coraline. Let me see. Steve says, these aren't the people the Liberals want here. They are willing to fight for their lives and rights. That scares the left. Okay. Christine is chiming in on Facebook to say, if they can get a flight here, I'm all for this. I only have a one bedroom, but I'll make room in my living room. Like many on the left, I have also donated. The extreme left needs to concede that we need to spend more money on our own military. This has been a problem for decades. This is so much bigger than a partisan issue. The extreme right also needs to stop persecuting minorities here so we can start having reasonable conversations between center left and center right. This is as much about being a decent human being at home as it is abroad. Eileen says Trudeau is too busy trying to push his climate crap. Climate is Trudeau's god. What the hell are they talking about at this time? Do you think Ukraine people about where they go just as long as they're the hell out of Ukraine right now? Susan says they're sending a plane with supplies tomorrow due to weather. Okay. Chrissy on Twitch, darn right we could look after them and should action ASAP. Why wait any longer than they need to? Needs to be addressed. Write the MP. Great idea. We should do what we can. Exactly, Lowell. Yes. Why are they waiting? This is a huge crisis, and as each day goes by, these families are suffering. Imagine what they must be feeling with their lives turned upside down. Our government is
very good point.
Up.
But, I just want to repeat. Most people want to do the right thing, but a lot of people don't know what to do. But here, the answer that I am asking is contact your MP, no matter what political party. Let them know that you want these people now, that you see no reason for a delay. There's a desperate situation, and we will look after them here. I repeat, I said at the outset, there's over 1 million people with Ukrainian descent living in Manitoba alone. And there are, I'm sure, millions of other Canadians with Ukrainian blood in them as well, who would be glad to help if they had the chance. This is how you can help. You can donate money and so forth and so on. But right now, what is desperately needed is people to get to a safe haven, get some food, get some decent water, get their children looked after. Can you imagine? It's winter in Ukraine. There's snowing there. Some of these women have walked with toddlers for hours. One woman they interviewed, I saw 30 hours she had been walking with a toddler. And we can't bring her to Canada? We're going to make her jump through the hoops to bring her here with her child? What kind of a people do we have in this country? Geez, go ahead, John.
What a difference 70 years makes, says Randy. It's nice to see that most of humanity now sees the importance of taking in refugees. The phrase never again is hopefully being remembered today. Thank you to all those people who want to help all of the Ukrainians. David says several flights arriving in Canada from Europe today. Hope they are full of people seeking safe haven in Canada.
Not a one. We don't have a single one yet. Not a single Ukrainian refugee has arrived in this country as yet. Go ahead, John.
I mean, they're not even asking for train tickets to get them on the train and get them out of there, and we've held them up for paperwork. I don't get it. Warren says, we have a Ukrainian family coming here to Canada in April. They need our help. Let's lend a hand, folks. No time for complaining. And says, not getting as many of those people out as quickly as possible with that maniac bombing their country is only assuring many of them will die. Joshua says, how many people will die in those 2 weeks? Red liberal blood on their hands. You see me scroll up here. Ann says, nope, I got Ann already. Lowell, I think we're pretty much at the end of the comments for today, sir.
All right. Thank you all very much. I just repeat. Many of you have never contacted your MP. A letter to the editor of a newspaper is not a bad idea either. What I think is that we need to let the world know, certainly Canada know, that this is not good enough, that there is more that we can do, more we should do. We should send more assistance. We apparently can't send military troops, etc., but we can bring refugees here. All it requires, folks, is just the will. The planes are there. The spaces are there. The help would be here. All that's required is the will. We need you to to convince some people in power that the will is there. That's what they need to hear from you. I hope you will. You can help. Please do. Thank you. We'll be back.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green Podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green Podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.